Hey all, I just wanted to give a short review of this book called Japanese Reading for JLPT N5, Master the Japanese Language Proficiency Test N5, by Clay and Yumi Boutwell. Possibly Boutwell. I'm not familiar with that name. So in case you don't know, N5 is the lowest level of Japanese proficiency. That means that you're able to walk up to somebody and say, hello, goodbye, where is the park, where is the hotel, and maybe, if you're really lucky, understand the answers. This book is relatively short. It's broken down into about 10 or 12 short paragraphs where each of the words, or at least all of the new words, are defined a couple pages below. You have to, if you're doing it on Kindle, you have to flip pages to look at the definitions and go back to read the story. The good part about this is this forces you to want to learn the language, because then instead of just reading it in English, and flipping back and forth constantly, which is hugely annoying, what you want to do is memorize it, because then you don't have to flip the pages. So laziness is working for you here, and that is trying to teach you Japanese by not wanting to use English as a shortcut, because it's not a shortcut in this case. For the most part, you just need the words, because the grammar is relatively easy throughout the story. But whenever there's new grammar introduced, there's grammar note sections. For example, the first line in Japanese in the story is Jansan ga kayata nikki ichi desu. Now this is a little bit weird, but they explain in the grammar notes that you read this as, literally it means John wrote this diary, number 1 is. They explain that you're supposed to interpret this as the diary that John wrote in, the first entry it is. And the book continues like that, and by the end, you should be pretty familiar with a lot of the more high-frequency words used throughout the book. If you want to learn all of the vocabulary, you probably need to get one of their other books. I believe that Clay and Yumi Boutwell sell a book about for the Japanese N5 test that's just about the grammar, and one that's just about the vocabulary. Now, you're supposed to be able to download the audio samples that go along with this book. I was not able to do that. I didn't put a lot of effort into it because the audio for Japanese is relatively simple. And especially with the hiragana and katakana used throughout the book, you generally know how a word's supposed to sound, although you won't, from reading, know the pitch accent. Probably the best way to pick up pitch accent is to listen to real Japanese people speak by talking to Japanese people, or watching TV shows, or watching YouTube channels, whatever. I'm not sure you'd gain a lot just from listening to a few short paragraphs spoken by a real Japanese person. You probably need a lot of input to really understand the pitch accent. Especially since, as I understand it, the pitch accent actually varies depending upon where in Japan you live.